Welcome to another Coffee with Samso, where we talked with ASX companies and CEOs and managing directors about the passion and for their projects. We're at the University Club here in Crawley today, and I've got Brad Valiukas here from Aurumin Limited. Aurumin has recently listed just last year.
December 9th.
December. Look, Brad, maybe just give us a good intro about yourself and let us hear the story and what's Aurumin all about.
Thanks, Noel. Good to be here today talking about projects and the company. So Aurumin, we listed December 9th, end of last year. Two good projects, Mount Dimer and Mount Palmer, and we'll go through those in more detail. I think a very strong team for the size of the company that we have, a lot of industry experience and people that really have been involved in growing projects and developing projects before, including myself, mining engineer, plus 20 years experience. Started up lots of projects, shut down a couple, prep projects for sale, and grown a lot of projects and companies. So a lot of value added during that time. We're just about to hit the ground, start drilling this week. So great, because that's what we listed for in the first place, about a year ago when we made that decision. So we'll finally get the answers out of that, and a lot of upside to come, and we'll be very aggressive in terms of growing. That's why we put the team together and the vehicle.
Look, the two projects sort of on that level where I can see that they've they're all projects, they're high grade, and they obviously got some good ounces out there. Obviously, you guys have got this project for a reason, right? So, can you get to sort of give us an idea of what you guys are hoping to look for in the projects?
Yeah, so as I said, Mount Dimer, a previous producer, originally found by Western Mining, and they were out there looking for big oxide deposits. And it's a quartz vein deposit basically from surface. So they didn't quite get what they wanted. Tectonic came and mined it. Gold price was less than $300 an ounce US, less than $500 an ounce Australian, and they were focused on going off to nickel at RAV8. So really, in terms of exploration, it's just very, very underdone. We think there's opportunity to repeat what's been done there before multiple times, and we just need to do the work, some smart exploration, a little bit of modern technology, take advantage of the better gold price, and just massive upside there at Mount Dimer.
Because I can see, I've always said to people, we've, and this is like a sort of a thing that I keep saying over the last few months, is that, we've had a lot of money being raised and the projects just needs to be drilled, I guess. And we've had 20 odd years of very sporadic sort of exploration, right? So a lot of these projects, as you said, are very underdone, and the upsides, for you to find another sort of parallel lode Dimer or something like that is, in my opinion, is quite high. Do you share that thought?
Oh, absolutely. I'd say Mount Dimer's actually sat there and done very little for that 20 years in itself. The best example there is the Lightning deposit. It's not massive, but it's very high grade, and it was found basically by accident when they were drilling out the waste dump for Golden Slipper. So if you can pick that up by accident, and then we apply a bit of geophysics and some geochem and some smarts, then absolutely I expect we'll get that numerous times over.
And obviously the Southern Cross area has, I would say, higher grade resource and things like that, but it's all very different, I guess. Can you tell us a bit more about Mount Palmer and what you guys see in that?
Yeah, so Mount Palmer, really a little bit of a forgotten gem, I like to say, sitting down there just south of Yellowdine. So you speak to people in the industry, and it's amazing how many people worked at Mount Dimer, and pretty much everybody knows where it is. But at the same time, Mount Palmer, it's closer to the highway, produced more ounces at a higher grade, and really nobody knows about it. We have 15 kilometres of greenstone strike from north of Mount Palmer and then down to Navoria that Minjar currently mine at the moment. Obviously very brown fields around Mount Palmer itself, but that greenstone strike is almost green fields and undertested completely or by any metric. So look, we're looking there very keenly around the mine. I think there's remnants and extensional opportunities available. There's some good high-grade plunges that we need to follow up. We've been doing a lot of background work to prepare for that. And then just big upside to repeat that along that strike.
You have a mining background. I've always been talking to explorationists, and I always tell people, if with explorations that, you have one glass of wine, the model's there, and 5 glasses of wine later, your model's complete, right? So mining engineers, you can't do that, right? I appreciate that. When you look at the structure, the gold structure that potentially Southern Cross to, say, the Eastern Goldfields, Kalgoorlie and things like that, are they different in how you would approach mining?
There's a lot of similarities and there's a lot of variance between each area. So in terms of approaching a mining, not really. Both Mount Palmer and Mount Dimer are high-grade gold in subvertical quartz veins, and that's pretty stock standard. There's gold in a lot of different lithologies in and around Southern Cross. Navoria's in the Biffs, Yilgarn Star just to the south of us, 1 million ounces, that's in the sediment. So we've got to be open to other styles of mineralisation there as well. But what we have historically is pretty much bread and butter.
And obviously a lot of, we've had this sort of discussion prior to recording, but a lot of people have been talking about, workers shortage, drillers and all this kind of stuff. Are you seeing a change in that?
Look, it's certainly tight, but there's drillers available. So we've had multiple options now for what we're going to do. So we're pretty pleased with where we've ended up. Look, lab time's 6 weeks. I think we've got enough projects, enough prospects to go and test that we can certainly cycle around and deal with that. We just need to prepare for those times and plan it in. I think we've got 59 internal prospects that we're looking at Mount Dimer itself. So on top of what we've got from the SAM survey, we've come out and we've said we've got 13 and we'll go test 6 of those starting end of this week. So certainly enough scope there to move things around.
Yeah, I saw that in your presentation, the targets from your SAM survey. One of the things that is people don't quite understand, and a lot of the views of feedback is that how significant is the SAM survey as opposed to your other geophysical surveys?
I guess everything else there was airborne before, and so just the definition, the resolution wasn't there. Mount Dimer has a series of 6 open pits were mined as part of that 125,000 ounces. So they're small but high grade deposits, and we just really were chasing that high resolution. So certainly we had a view in terms of where that mineralisation sits, and we're looking for a combination of structures running in from the northwest, intersecting into the structures that run due north-south, and the SAM's given us that resolution to really focus our targeting.
Okay, I mean I want to sort of focus or touch on this more because obviously a lot of people sort of see these things on presentations and stuff. I call them the pretty pictures, but they don't quite get the significance or why it's the likes of yourself say, look, we were doing this, therefore we can go target, right? So are these kind of surveys more detailed in the sense than, say, 5 years ago, 10 years ago?
Yeah, absolutely. So the SAM's fairly new, and it's also a ground-based survey. So we actually end up with guys walking around on the ground to get that resolution, much different to what we can get out of a plane. So for us, this area that we first did was a bit of a test and a trial. So we've got at least 5 times what we can do out of this current survey along the granite ultramafic contact on our granted mining tenements. So really looking forward to some success out of this and then repeating that because it just opens things up massively. But it's just that definition. We're lucky enough to have the unmined lightning deposit sitting there as well. So we weren't just doing the survey around existing open pits and inferring what they were. We're really able to match that position in the stratigraphy or with the structures to lightning, and that's what we're going out to repeat now. So it just makes our drilling much more targeted, and we're a long way from a scattergun approach, and hopefully for shareholders we're getting better value out of every metre that we drill.
I always tell people that the key ingredient in a company is the management, projects, etc. But I see, I mean, your board's very technical based, which is very sometimes in some ways quite different to some of the other companies I see where they're not so technically heavy. Can you go through that, because I'm really keen to understand the mix of what you have.
Yeah, so look, very keen on having a board that would be able to contribute to the business all the way through. So Pierce Lewis on as non-exec chairman. Pierce runs a business called Small Cap Corporate, based out of Subiaco, so he's a corporate guy. A lot of time sitting on boards, a lot of governance experience. Sean Day, also ex-Northern Star CFO for 5 years. So he's got that finance background, but he's got that finance background from within an organisation, within building a company and growing companies, and very good experience prior to Northern Star and since. Darren Holden, yeah, very technical geo, very good geo, one of the best guys I've ever worked with. Always brings a slightly different slant to the table, but is involved and contributing. And myself as a mining engineer, so experienced developer and operator. We're setting this up for the long term, and so our board covers our corporate requirements, covers our long-term funding requirements and growth, covers exploration, covers operations and development. I think we end up very, very well balanced and certainly capable of taking the business well beyond what we've currently got.
I mean, you're looking at your sort of structure, 21 million market cap, you got 6.4 million. If I remember your listing, you raised it.
We raised 7.
7, yeah. From the corporate finance part of it, what are the money guys telling the brokers? I mean, is there sentiment still out there? I mean, some people feel that it's sort of slowed down a bit, but what's the front face telling you?
Well, we've got a bit of work to do this week actually with brokers and trying to get the story out there, because we're drilling from this weekend. In general, it's positive. I think for the right projects, whether projects that we've got or projects that we want to bring in, I think the market's still pretty good. I think maybe some of the froth has come out, but I think our projects still well support our market cap with where we are and the potential that's there. So yeah, we're sitting pretty comfortable at the moment. It'd be nice to be a little bit higher than we currently are, but yeah, I think we've held up pretty well.
Oh yeah, but I think if you look at most of the share price charts of, especially the gold guys, they're pretty much about the same. Yep. But like a trader friend of mine once said, they need to take a breather before they reach for the next high, and that's just a pullback, which is the norm, I guess.
Yeah, so I'd like to think that's where we are now, and once we start actually spending the money in a serious way on the ground, that some of those results will come through and help us get a bit higher.
So you mentioned that the drilling's happening.
Yeah, so we're heading out to Mount Dimer, so mobbing at the end of this week. Expect to be drilling over the weekend. We're doing 5,000 metres. We'll do 40 to 50 holes. A little bit targeted around Lightning and Golden Slipper, but mostly to start testing new targets. So we put out with the SAM survey 13 new primary targets in that granite area to the south of the ultramafic. We'll test at least 6 of those out of the current program that we're planning, and maybe a little bit more. We'll be a little bit flexible depending on what we're seeing on the results. If we're getting the quartz come through on the sulphides, then we might target those a bit harder.
Okay, so I guess going forward the next sort of 12 months, obviously the drilling's the news flow, but what's the plan? Is it that you guys are sort of targeting?
Yeah, so we would expect to be drilling 5,000 plus metres at least every second month. We've got still some surface work to do in terms of mapping. We'll probably repeat the SAM survey, and then ultimately, second half of the year, expect to be putting out our first JORC 2012 resource for Mount Dimer at least.
From a mining engineer, I just had a thought. What's the sort of deal breaker when you look at the mining, the pits that's already there? Was there any structural issues from there? It was just the fact that they've exhausted at that price.
I think they exhausted at at that price is the correct answer.
Yeah.
So certainly there's opportunity for cutbacks in the future at Frodo, Carly West, LO3, Golden Slipper we talk about in our presentation at the moment. LO1, LO2 have the underground under them, so they're a bit limited in terms of going deeper, or they are limited in terms of going deeper. There is extensional opportunities at both LO1 and LO2 as well, though, both north and south, and so we'll be following some of that up. There's a range of high-grade unmined intersections in the ground. One of the things we'd like to do when we repeat the SAM survey is really get resolution over the higher resolution imagery over some of those, and that'll help us plan some of that exploration around it. A little bit the same as we've done already up at the Woodcutters area, where we've had some high-grade hits, and it was pretty easy to see with the extra data that we've got that probably haven't been drilled out correctly to maximise that. So really there's very little exploration done after that Western mining time. Tectonic really mined what was there and available, as made sense at a pretty tight gold price environment. So just lots of upside, and gold price dictated what their plans were.
Yeah, I think with viewers there who's been watching the Coffee for Samso, I liken this project to something that's sort of as Brad's just sort of laid it all out. That it's something that's sort of haven't had a lot of work done, and over probably 2 decades or plus, and now we've got all this extra funding. It's really critical in the sense that they could potentially find another lode somewhere or another series of pits, but it's just timing. All the ducks are lined up properly. There's no magical figure. It's just the fact that the ducks are lined up in the opportune time. But look, guys, I always try and ask you guys to send questions, because obviously a lot of you guys I've met have those questions, and someone like Brad will probably be easier for you guys to direct to him and have a chat, but I'm sure I can pass on messages. Brad, going forward, what's potential investors looking at your stock? What's that pitch that you would give them?
Just big upside, but right now, immediately, we made the decision 12 months ago effectively to list, and we went through that process, and we finished up December 9th last year. We raised $7 million to do exactly what we're about to go out and do now. So I think we sit pretty well priced if anyone wants to come in and take advantage of that, and a lot of upside from where we are now. We're certainly looking to well and truly repeat what's been done there before.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. There's a couple of sort of brother stocks that I see yourself and the likes of Miramars, where the quality stocks obviously gone through the moon when you first came out. The market's softened, you've come back, and I think I always tell people this is the time where you still can get in at what was. But look, Brad, thanks for the time. I really appreciate. Look, I know the story. It's sort of very, very early stage, but I think there's the scene sort of stage for your next drilling program. Looking forward to going and having see what you guys got out there.
Yeah, we are as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you are. I've been there, and from management point of view, you just want to get it out and get something. But look, again, I say thank you, and hope we can follow the journey, and we have another chat down the road, and we'll have your drilling results to talk about.
Yeah, hopefully that sounds good, Noel.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.